talk about the Warriors, but what is your thoughts on super teams, quote unquote?
I laugh at this, man. I laugh at this because people are talking about super teams as if this is a new thing. You know, when I think of super teams, I go back to the mid 1980s. I mean, the Celtics were straight up a super team. I mean, you had, of course, he was injured, but you had a Bill Walton be a sixth man. Bill Walton, a NBA Finals MVP at one time, he was a sixth man on those Celtics teams with Bird and McHale and Parrish and Ainge. I mean, super team. And then the Lakers with Kareem and Worthy and Magic and Byron Scott. I mean, right. We were dealing with super teams in the mid-'80s, but we didn't hear this talk of, oh my gosh, the league sucks because we have these teams that just want to stack up ball players and just make it unfair for the other teams in the league. I'm like, well, tell that back. Go back to the time machine and tell that to the Celtics and the Lakers back in the mid-'80s. Because all I kept hearing was, oh, another NBA season? I can't wait for Magic and Bird to hook it up again in the finals. And we didn't have to be we didn't have to have rooting interest for the Celtics or the Lakers. We were just digging the competition. And then, of course, you had the Pistons, who, in my opinion, I believe they built up a super team in the late 80s. And then after that sort of died down until now. You know, with LeBron starting the super teams and the Heatles train by forming up with Bosh and Wade and in Miami and now in Golden State and Cleveland. And with Paul being a Houston Rocket, I find that to be interesting. I get why they did it, you know, because they attribute how Harden just simply was starting to just dip in production as to his being exhausted about carrying the whole load as the point guard. The issue I have with that is Mike D'Antoni is a up and down, fast tempo type of coach when it comes to his offense. Paul is a straight throwback to the Isaiah Thomas, the John Stocktons, the Mark Jacksons of point guards, where they are the floor general, they are the coach on the floor, and there's going to be times where, yeah, we can run up and down, and I can be Lob City like I was in L.A. with the Clippers, but there's got to be other times where we have to drain this 24-second clock and get a good shot. And I believe I know how to best get us into the right set so that we can get the best shot. That goes against what D'Antoni normally does. So I get the feel why they made that move the Rockets did, because of course they want to compete with the Warriors. I just think they need another piece or two, and they just need another piece or two.
I agree with you 100%. I think these are two ball dominant guards. Obviously, Harden has been his best in this past season when the ball was strictly in his hands to create, to pass, to do whatever. So you add Chris Paul to this, and Chris Paul is probably a half and half type of point guard. He can shoot first, he can pass first. But to me, it's going to be interesting how these two gel on the floor. And you're right, the Rockets do need another piece. And I know Carmelo will possibly waive his trade clause to either go to the Rockets or the Cavs. Which team, either team, which one will it be? That's probably the $1 million question. But if they are able to add Carmelo, that could add definitely something for them. If they're not, then to me, that why would you make a move for Chris Paul? And why would you think that he's going to be able to come in and it's going to gel? Because in my gut, my first response is I don't think they're going to gel well, because they're two very similar players that want to dribble the ball and create. And that's, I think, where the issue is.
Yeah. And that could be a huge issue when you have, like you said, two ball-dominant guys. And it's not going to be so easy for Harden to all of a sudden, okay, I play point guard. This has been the best season in my NBA career. And now, all of a sudden, I got to be a 2 again. That won't flow. And like you said, on top of it, he probably won't be able to. He definitely won't have the ball as much next year as he did this year. Now, how is that going to play to his psyche alone? You know, and yeah, you definitely asked that question. Okay, which team will Carmelo want to go toward? Would he want to go play with LeBron? Well, no, which brotherhood brethren would he want to play for? Would he go to LeBron or would he go to Chris Paul?
Right, exactly.
And that will be interesting. That will be interesting. And what my mind keeps thinking of is you have the climate built already and it's similar to how it was 3 decades ago, where you have the two teams, one in the East and one in the West, where they're the standard bearers, and you have to do pretty much what they did in building a team in order to get there. And I think what I find interesting about this is you're seeing teams struggle mightily with finding the right pieces. And it seems to me the trend is they want to build small. And I'm thinking, okay, you have a small-ish team with the Warriors, and yeah, they have height. I mean, Durant's 6'10", and Ja and McGee, they have height too. I get that, but primarily their players are perimeter players, and they have an up and down style, and they can play the half court, slow it down style too. But they like to run it up and down the floor and jack up threes. It's amazing to see how these other teams are trying to build those similar type of teams, where when I remember seeing this 3 decades ago, the Pistons did the opposite. They said, okay, well, I see muscle, and I see these teams going up and down the floor, but I think we need to actually add muscle and just stop this noise. Just basically say, okay, if you're gonna bring it in the lane, we're gonna knock you straight on the deck, and we're gonna make it more difficult for you to do it, to the point where you don't want to drive in the lane, you're going to settle for jump shots. And when they actually perfected how they did that, they became the kings of the NBA. And I'm so surprised that there isn't a team out there right now that is doing that. That is what I find amazing, that you're not seeing a, quote, super team, close quote, that is antithetical to the Warriors style of running up and down and the Cavs style of being ball dominant with LeBron James and Kyrie Irving, and they have bigs, but Tristan Thompson needs to wake up from his coma, and
right, exactly,
and Kevin Love has to stop being so up and down, because when that jumper's on, the team is great, but when that jumper's off, it's like he forgets how to play in the post too, on top of his jumper being off. So, to me, when I see the reduction of that, I'm thinking of Cleveland as being similar as the Golden State. They want to run up and down the floor with you too. I'm surprised there isn't a team that wants to build bigs to stop that. And I think that's what I find most intriguing about how this current NBA cycle is running.
Yeah, it's very, very interesting how everything is turning out, especially with there's so many shooters on a team. And I agree with you, someone needs to build a team like the Pistons. When you come to the hole or when you're jacking up threes all day, somebody's not going to be afraid to get in your face. Somebody's not going to be afraid to throw an occasional elbow. And there's not very many teams like that. And I know the NBA is different now. You get a foul for breathing too hard on somebody. So
right.
it's going to be tough to do that, but somebody's going to have to figure something out. And there's really the closest team probably in the East, I would say, that could maybe compete, I would say would be the Celtics. I think adding Gordon Hayward was amazing for them just because he's one of the best players in the NBA. He's a very young talent. So It's going to be interesting, but I think if the Cavs aren't able to add a piece or trade Kevin Love, then they're going to be in the same situation they were in last year.
Yeah, and I'll give the Celtics kudos. That was a good move, and I think that brought them closer. And I was seeing that they're probably in talks in bringing Marc Gasol on the team too. Now, if they bring Gasol on to the Celtics, I would really like their chances. I would really like their chances to upset and unseat the Cavaliers as being the kings of the East, because that's that down low presence that a team needs to circumvent the fast break up and down style. And the Celtics can go up and down too, because they can go small because, well, their best player is small. And they can do that, but they will have the versatility. And I think if a team is going to go physical, you're right. They can't really do it the way the bad boy Pistons did, because they didn't have the flagrant system down until, I want to say, the 91 season. I mean, that's when they started to institute flagrant fouls. And referees seem to be a little bit quicker with the whistle when it comes to physicality. But I still think you can still do that, because I saw a glimpse of that in last year's NBA Finals, because the Cavaliers counted the up and down play of the Warriors by slowing down the tempo and being more physical. I was like, that's what you're supposed to do with an up and down team. You're supposed to be physical. You're supposed to slow it down. You're supposed to have them, similar to how in football goes. Your best defense is an offense that can control the clock. It should be the same principle with basketball. And it's amazing to me that people just want to just get down the floor as quick as they can. They want to jack up a shot and only use 10 seconds at most on a shot clock. It blows my mind. It blows my mind.
I definitely hear you. Man, once again, we got Cole Johnson of Cole Sportz with a Z. So great to have you on the show. Man, so knowledgeable, such a great guy. We definitely got to do this again. Man, the sports knowledge is very, very comparable to mine, which I would say is excellent. So it's great to have you on the show. I appreciate you. Once again, Cole Sportz, COLE Sports with a Z instead of an S.com. Go on all avenues of social media. Go to Cole Sportz on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. And was there anything else you wanted to add before we conclude the interview, my friend?
Well, besides, thank you so much for the invite. I had a great time. Thank you. And definitely we got to do this again. I also am starting a new show as well for those who are non-sports people. I'm starting a show called Revelations, and that is with an S, not with a Z. and I think you all are going to love that too. It's going to introduce humanity in a way I think all of us are needing to have in today's time. And it's been a blessing to know you and to call you a brother. So thank you, Ben, and just God bless you on BS3 Sports and whatever you decide to do and taking this vehicle to wherever you want to take it.
Definitely. And you too. And I pray God just continues to open up doors for you, continues to make it just in what God wants it to be through you. And I think you'll speak into people just like you did with me. And it was great, man. So I appreciate you.
Oh, thank you so much, Ben.
All right. Have a good one.
All right. You too.
Later. All right. So that was Cole Johnson of Cole Sportz. We were going to have another caller, but it doesn't look like he's going to be able to call in today. So appreciative of everybody that tuned in, everybody on the chat line, all the callers, Tonette and Hodges Mitchell. You can find them on Facebook. Go check them out. Also, big shout out to Cole Johnson of Cole Sportz. Once again, that's Cole and then Sports with a Z. He's got some great shows out there. Also, thanks to Frank Mazzei of Whole Nother Level Podcast. I will put the Whole Nother Level podcast.